U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
If Israel like just goes all out, like, you know, like how we did in the Gulf War, you know, with the little animation that plays that says "Don't show Russia this," doing superpower shit, and it's just like all the plane formations that are like circling and bombing Saddam during that Gulf War. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that?
No.
Okay, I'll have to show it to you. Anyway, if they just like obliterate all these IRGC targets and stuff, like civilians are obviously going to die. No shit, it's war.
It's also Israel. They don't care.
Yeah. But that would be an interesting outcome if Israel decides we're gonna like just go all out and just show Iran. What if Israel drops a nuke in Iran? That would be wild. That wouldn't be good. That would be too far.
Well, Israel would just lose all support internationally, and
Also,
would probably crumble as
I
a state.
also am taking the crazy position that Iran's retaliation was justified because Israel bombed an embassy. It's not like an embassy can also be a terrorist base, turns out. But it's like this is the same shit. It's like every time Iran kills civilians and stuff, it's Mossad. Shut up.
No, Russia.
Russia wouldn't nuke anyone.
Putin's a coward. He's never going to nuke
Russia's not
anyone.
Gonna use nukes.
The only people that would use a nuclear weapon is Israel, because they're psychopaths. The United States, because they justify use of nuclear weapons in naval combat. So if there's naval combat in the South China Sea, we could potentially see a nuclear weapon used on the naval ships. That is a thing that could potentially happen. North Korea, maybe. Xi, maybe if Taiwan starts winning.
I think it was much closer back in the day with people like Zeel Hawk in Pakistan and stuff.
Yes.
I don't think he had nukes though at any time.
I think we're much further away from anybody using a nuclear weapon than people realize. I think the doomsday clock is just a
so like I'm a big subscriber to the nuclear taboo.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy people who like are like nuclear advisors talk about this and believe in it. People who like are always being like, this would be a good place to be and drop a nuke. Like that was their job in the government for years.
Yeah.
Like the world ending potential of nukes is greatly overstated. And I mean, just look at how many, like, look at the countermeasures in Israel, right? Like, any of those, how many of those ballistic missiles could have had nuclear warheads on them, and how many actually could pierce Israel, right?
Yeah.
So there's that with like the whole mutually assured destruction. I just don't think that's even a possible aspect.
That being said, you could definitely airburst a nuclear weapon, take out their air defenses, then just hit them.
I think.
Or are they EMP shielded? They must be, right?
I think the most like practical use of one besides naval would be like a land attack missile.
Okay.
Like from an F-15.
What about Fallout style fucking shoulder launched mini nukes? How about that? Let's just advance to future weapons and have mini nukes.
It's just like, why can't it just be a fucking big bomb? Like why does it? It's not what a mini nuke does. Like it has a mini mushroom cloud, right? That's not how it works. A mushroom cloud is like an atmospheric effect.
Yes.
I also check this out. This is my current opinion of the situation. See, here's me down here telling her that I love her. Like, you know, I think this is the right personality to have.
An embarrassing failure. Does the president believe that Israel should now take this as a win and show restraint?
I know where the context of the question's coming in. During his conversation with the prime minister on Saturday night, First of all, he congratulated
so we can start killing the Protestants.
No, Michael, that's not what this is about.
Israeli Defense Forces, and of course commended, as you would expect the commander-in-chief to do, the participation of U.S. forces in this coalition and the great work that was done. I mean, it's easy. I was looking.
Can this dude open his mouth while he talks, please? Jesus Christ. Mumbles.
It's easy to look at that like it's some kind of a computer game, right? It looks so simple. Things getting knocked out of the sky. Let me tell you something. It's not simple. It's hard. And a lot of planning and preparation had to go into that. A lot of coordination. And the president talked about it.
Yeah. Well, good thing you had hours for Iran's lawnmowers to fly over.
It's like this. The whole thing was fucking performative. Like they didn't try.
So like again, I think Idlibis have like the best takes and outlook on this out of anyone, right? Because they're like very pro-Palestinian resistance. They think like basically anything Hamas does is justified in the resistance, right? They're firm believers in that. But also they like know Iran and Israel well. They're smart enough. They're not like disillusioned. They're very well informed politically.
Yeah. Which
is very interesting. And like they're the ones calling it out like the best, talking about like, the performative like stuff that's going on. Fucking Iran literally calling these countries on the phone with them, telling them days in advance. Like, come on.
Like it was so performative because I didn't know any of that, and even when I saw it, I'm like, I think I fucking tweeted a thing about it. I'm like, Iran, we should do something about this consulate attack. Some guy in Iran, we should send a bunch of drones to the Iron Dome.
They sent like ballistic missiles as well.
Yeah, there were a few, but like most of them were drones. Going what? And you can't get through the Iron Dome with missiles. Like I don't think you get through.
Well, and it just like reiterates like Ukraine goes through this like every day.
Yeah,
it happened once.
Did you see that Daily Wire journo got fucking community noted for that tweet?
Yeah,
the one that was like they no other country has to deal with this. Got community noted.
You're right, because Ukraine also can't sit there all day intercepting missiles. It's a much different thing they deal with. It's actual bombing.
Yes. Actual
that
war.
This was an extraordinary success, a military success, and that success alone, just for itself.
I don't care what he has to say.
Welcome to the News Hour. Tensions remain high in the Middle East tonight as we wait to see if Israel responds to Iran's barrage of drones and missiles over the weekend. President Biden said while the U.S. commitment to Israel is unwavering, the administration would not support a retaliatory strike.
There's also,
That's right, Jeff.
I put Hasan covering it live in there, so we can go back. And I think the best recap of the drone attack on Israel would probably be Hasan. By the way, I'm not sure. I made a tweet earlier. I know Twitter's not a real place and all, but I was like, it was like a really long Hasan video, and I go to screen it, immediately says something wrong, and I was like, okay, good enough for me.
Their country hoping for more U.S. support is Ukraine. I spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about that, about its war with Russia, and much more. But first, we begin in the Middle East, where a region is on edge. Nick Schifrin has our report.
At the site of the first ever Iranian missile strike on Israeli territory today, Israel's top general warned
the first
Iran
ever missile strike on Iranian territory, fucking way off target in the beach.
Payback was coming.
Well,
who's going to attack America?
We do, though. We just have a different type of deterrence factor. And like the thing is, the reason why, that's exactly what I was thinking. But like the F-16s as well, they scramble so quick. The F-16 defense teams and stuff. Yeah. But like the Navy is also always on both sides of our coast.
Yes.
And then
there's a carrier on each side, right?
Normally, yes. I think right now most of our carriers are not out. They're currently in like somewhere in dry dock and shit. And the one that's in the Gulf is like overdue. like
Oh.
to have maintenance.
Interesting.
So shit needs to get rolling and swapped out. But the only reason like Al-Qaeda was able to be successful is because they attacked from within the country. That's the thing is like if you attack America from within the country, that's the key. That's the key, you know, because all this shit's like
attacks aren't happening.
Yeah.
Like America is never getting invaded. America is never getting attacked directly. It's never happening. They're way too defended. They've got Canada and Mexico to the south and north. They've got 400, 500 million firearms in the country, plus the National Guard, plus the Navy, plus the Army, plus the reserves. Nobody is going near America unless they want to get fucked.
They have so much military that they are both covered here, and then they can also like export all that imperialism.
It's
like
insane.
Nobody exports imperialism like America.
Yeah. The only real place that's at risk is Alaska, and even Alaska is heavily fucking defended.
I don't know if this music is public domain, so I'm not going to play the music for this. But it's like, so he's like, if nuclear deterrence didn't work, this is what we would be doing to Russia, is what this guy said. Hang on, I want to mute this because I don't know if the music is copyright. Who knows? This video might be even copyright. Close your eyes if you're Russian. It says only a visual age. Actual number is much higher.
Is this how much they can actually move and how quickly?
This is Desert Storm.
Oh.
That's just air defense scrambling for any retaliatory attacks, like Scud missiles to take them out and shit.
Yeah. That is nuts. Looks like a video game. This is real life. It's just a time lapse of the 3 days that it took them to lap a rock.
See, they fly over to acquire all the targets, so then the team can come in and hit them all. They're all going to be laced for them ahead of time.
Like this is what Russia wishes they could do.
Bro, like if flying intertwined like that, that's fucking insane.
Yes, if America wanted to be Russia and the forced hegemon of the world, they fucking would.
I wouldn't say America is just playing nice.
I would, considering what they could do.
Saddam was a legitimate threat. Like he had a very strong military. It just wasn't a comparison to like what America can do, right? And the difference between like Saddam and Ukraine is Ukraine actually has the loyalty of the people. Saddam's forces don't have the organization because of the disloyalty and like his untrusting nature, you know? His troops didn't have the training. He had a lot of money, he had a lot of forces, he had a lot of tanks and shit.
Lack the training.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you like torture your trainees and your military and shit. Caning their feet when they fuck up, which is on video. There's video. You know, don't tell me it didn't happen. Thanks.
As we look forward, we weigh our
My mom
steps.
got them for me.
And this launch of so many missiles, cruise missiles, and drones onto the territory of the State of Israel will be met with a response.
Iran's unprecedented attack of more than 300 drones and missiles lit up the sky Saturday night and Sunday morning across the country. World leaders quickly rallied to Israel's defense.
I also gotta say this: the amount of fucking shit the IRGC-IO was able to circulate of old footage of just people running on the street during like natural disasters and shit, and saying that it's the Israelis running and stuff. Showing previous attacks, showing even Palestinian missile attacks that have happened in the past, and showing that to be this and circulating that, like, and these people just buy it. They don't care.
But following U.S. officials urging Israel not to respond to Iran militarily, today a unified European message of restraint. French President Emmanuel Macron.
We are going to try to convince Israel that we should not respond by escalating.
Typical France. Typical France, right? Here we go.
Israel has won thanks to its strong air defenses. This defensive victory must now be ensured diplomatically.
And British Foreign Secretary David Cameron.
So our hope is that there won't be a retaliatory response.
Israel says it blocked Iran's ballistic missiles, thanks in part to its air defense system Arrow 3, built to counter Iranian threats. They also got lucky. 2 U.S. officials confirmed that half of Iran's more than 100 ballistic missiles failed in flight.
How do you warn each other?
Israel's success was also the product of a defensive coalition. When the strikes from Iran and Iranian-backed proxies in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen began, the U.S. had already made agreements with Arab states, including Jordan and Saudi Arabia. The U.S. military says it's
Jordan's like, do we get more military technology? And they're like, of course, Jordan, you're going to get more military technology. And he's like, then I'll do it. We were making fun of the King of Jordan today because of his LARP.
Down more than 80 Iranian drones. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant hopes that sets a diplomatic precedent.
We have an opportunity to establish a strategic alliance against this grave threat by Iran, which
they what they do is they send a skywriting plane, and they go and they write in French in the sky, "We're going to nuke you," and that's how they tell them. Yeah, Israel just drops a dud bomb on the buildings. They skywrite because they're French and they need to be flashy. Anyway, King of Jordan and he's up.
Okay, I think we can play, those eye games where it's like spot the differences, but you spot what's wrong with this picture.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is one of the greatest LARPs I have ever seen. First of all, gotta just always point out, chest plate not at the correct height. That your heart and lungs are open to vital shots. So it's not cool to have that open, so wear your armor right. Secondly, those mags are falling out of those pouches if he runs. Am I right? And then the funniest thing of thinking this guy is special ops enough to run a chest mounted pistol is that it made it so he can't fit another fucking mag in because he had a fucking chest mount his fucking pistol. Like, what a douche.
The French helped everyone get their nukes. The French gave Saddam nuclear technology too.
They did. And Israel.
The French. And then Israel gave the F-16 to China, and they made their ripoff. Fuck both of those
I think
countries.
France's nuclear doctrine was that, like, if more people have nukes, then it prevents them from being used. When the United States was the misconcepted speech about not creating a military-industrial complex by supplying nukes to people, but people think that it's apparently talking about something else that's equivalent to today, because
which is threatening to mount nuclear explosives on these
this guy's
missiles,
a psycho too,
which could be an extremely grave threat.
What we've seen is proof of concept that when the security and strategic concerns of our partners align, they can absolutely work together.
Dana Stroll is the research director and a senior fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy
Singapore, like
and the
BFF?
former deputy assistant secretary of defense for the Middle East.
Isn't Singapore everyone's
She says the
BFF?
Shootdowns were successful because of regional coordination that, until this weekend, was untested.
What we saw on Saturday night was proof of concept that all of this hard work, the investment in
send it to Ukraine
radars, the investments to share
I think that's
classified
mostly what this PBS NewsHour was about, was really
confidence
framing this
building that
around
it's
how this needs to
create
go
this
to
regional
Ukraine.
security architecture
Interesting.
actually works.
Iran's attack on Israel was in response to an Israeli airstrike earlier this month on Iran's consulate in Damascus that killed several top commanders.
They got what they wanted from the site.
Yes, he did. He did say that. Further intent proving genocide.
Ecological and economic impact of the whole world being on edge last week.
Vali Nasser is a professor at the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. He says even though the attack...
Slow-ass missile. Slow missile.
Everyone is like, oh, World War III, World War III, Israel starting World War III. I'm just like, Iran are cowards. They're not going to do shit. And I was right.
Well, here's the thing. The proxies that attacked Tower 31 or whatever, right, in Jordan, Iran had to reel those guys in. Like, bro, you're bombing America. It's too much. You got to, we're trying to LARP here, so roll it back in. The thing is that if I think those groups could have a chance of just basically all going rogue against, like, if Iran and the IRGC like continually shows to be pathetic and doesn't show a force like this,
they could rebel.
Yeah. Well, not just rebel against Iran. They could just say, we're not going to listen to Iran's orders. We're going to attack. We are, like basically that type of thing. A new, just like how fucking like the radicalization from Al-qeada pouring into Iraq.
Yeah.
Turned into ISIS because of the fucking Sunni Shia divide and racism in the country.
Failed militarily, Iran hopes they prevent future Israeli attacks.
Iran's hope is that what happened last week will make everybody, particularly Europeans and Americans, think we don't want to be there again in a week. So that would put pressure on Israel, and that pressure is exactly the kind of deterrence that Iran was looking for. So it's mainly political gain rather than military gain.
But right now, while the world urges restraint, the decision of what to do next is Israel's. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Nick Schifrin.
Let's get Hasan's coverage going.
Clifford,
see how that went.
Send it to me?
It's in the list there. It should be. I'll find it if you can't.
Well, meantime, Israel's
military these are the baddies, bro. Look at the. That's. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? Just not long ago when I was adding the list, I was pulling up videos and I went baddies.
Yes, I did hear that actually.
That's what was who I was talking about. These two. We can watch this before Hasan.
Fox 6's Antoine Lewis has been closely monitoring the situation out of the Middle East and joins us now in the studio with details.
Security Council one?
While we've yet to hear from the Prime Minister, world leaders continue to plead with Israel not to retaliate.
Is the Hasan one the Security Council one?
I don't know what you're saying. I'd have to look.
But that region may be closer to the brink in quite some time.
We're committed to a ceasefire that will bring the hostages home.
I don't know them that well
and
yet.
Preventing conflict from spreading beyond what it already has.
Joined by visiting Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed al-Sudani, President Biden addressed rising tensions in the Middle East Monday after an attack on Israel by Iran over the weekend. The White House says President Biden told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that U.S. support for Israel is ironclad, but Biden also drew a line. The U.S. will not participate in any sort of counterattack against Iran should Israel decide to retaliate.
We're also committed to the security of our personnel and partners in the region, including Iraq.
Israel has identified Iran as the country that launched more than 300 drones at its territories and properties late Saturday night.
This is in here as well, but Iraq there was actually two meetings. I think the other one was Czech Republic, but Iraq was here today meeting with Biden.
Interesting.
And also other members of the cabinet. I mean, this is on Iraq's borders. Iraq is it's a pin holding things together. It would be very bad for a spillover to happen in that country, to be, something to be accelerated because of Iran. It would be awful. Like Iraq is like starting to finally get back on track, you know, and it still is like miles to go.
Yeah.
Allies that helped intercept the drone and ballistic missiles being fired. On Capitol Hill, a renewed sense of urgency to provide more support for Israel, but lawmakers appear divided on how to respond. Bipartisan calls are growing for the House to take up the Senate-passed $95 billion foreign aid bill that includes money for Israel, Ukraine, and the Indo-Pacific. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the House will vote on additional Israel aid sometime this week.
The details of that package are being put together right now. We're looking at the options and all these supplemental issues.
This delay in its passage, I think, is very damaging and gives the world a chance to think that the United States is not united in its views of how we need to protect not only ourselves, but our allies.
Senior administration officials were asked if the U.S. had been briefed on Israeli
Okay, these gotta both be two different videos because they're both from his official channel here. Oh, one's older from like 2 months ago, but look, they're literally the same title. Oh, bro, also, there's this thing about the horn in the fun playlist.
Mm.
That is a slept-on video that's got to be used at an opportune time.
Okay.
Spokesman John Kirby says the
We
United
also
States
throw
is
bombs
not
at
involved
problems.
in Israel's decision.
And if we gave Ukraine money, problems would be going away.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not giving them money.
Netanyahu's warplane is out. It's in the air. Drones are on their way. Iraqi security officials have confirmed that dozens of one-way suicide drones have been detected over southern and eastern Iraq after entering via Iranian airspace, and that they are heading west. So let's see where
Hasan is
this
already
goes.
freaking out more than anyone in the mainstream press, like at all. Well, he's like, Mike Johnson was this performative about it too.
Mm.
And there is some other people.
Here it is.
Bolton, of course, can't miss an opportunity to talk about bombing Iran.
These drones will likely take many hours to reach Israel if launched from Iran. If cruise missiles are used, they are likely to be launched in the coming hours, as they take a few hours to reach Israel, and then ballistic missiles will be launched last if they are to be used, and they take less than 10 minutes to reach Israel. Will the Turkish U.S. bases will drag Turkey into it? I mean, we'll see. Depending on how Israel retaliates, because remember, Israel is the country that bombed, technically, Iranian soil in Damascus, in Syria, by bombing the Iranian consulate compound. This was a direct violation of international law. This was a direct violation and also a major escalation in this conflict. It's not about Israel showing restraint. It's about what America does. It was about what America does from the jump. The fact that Joe Biden after October 7 gave a bear hug and no red lines approach to Benjamin Netanyahu caused Israel
Are you fucking kidding me? He was doing so well.
So close.
Feel like they could do whatever the they wanted, and they could very easily bring America into the conflict. And they violated numerous red lines, as you guys know, both the ethnic cleansing in Gaza, but beyond that, way more severe red lines that they violated, such as striking Beirut, Lebanon, not just southern Lebanon, but straight up striking Beirut. And then another red line when they struck the Iranian consulate and the Iranian consulate compound in Syria, in Damascus. Beyond that, obviously, there were, of course, locations that were attacking Americans versus the Iranian proxy groups in both Syria and Iraq. That is the norm. Just like it was the norm for Hezbollah to strike targets in northern Syria versus Israel striking targets in southern Lebanon. But there were moments where Israel went above and beyond in the most belligerent fashion, likely escalating the tension in the region and likely creating more destabilization with the hopes that they could bring the United States of America into the conflict directly. Benjamin Netanyahu's plane is already in the air, by the way. This is an amazing story by Tal Shalev. Ahead of a possible attack from Iran, Netanyahu moved over the weekend to a house to the house of Simon Falek in Jerusalem, which according to previous reports is a fortified bunker. Falek is a U.S. billionaire, a GOP donor, and the owner of Duty Free America. Netanyahu stayed at his house at the beginning of the war after rockets were fired on Jerusalem.
U.S. officials have officially confirmed that Iran has launched those drones toward Israel. We know that the president has ended his weekend in Delaware, is on his way back.
I mean, sure, like he could have added that, but like I think that was like it diverts from the point and streak that he was already making. So he can have that one from me.
Back to the White House. He is meeting with his national security team there. What more can you tell us about what they're going to be doing there? Who's meeting with him in that situation room? And also,
I told you, by the way, that they would stop saying this is retaliatory the moment that drones were in the air. And approximately 23 minutes after the drones were in the air, they've already dropped the whole pretense, like why Iran did this, and are reframing the narrative as Iran struck first. And you will see red lines are being crossed by Iran against Israel is the standing narrative. So quickly did it change. Yesterday, I told you yesterday that this was going to happen, and it's already happening. Israel has a right to defend itself is going to be the meta again.
at the same time, I do think it's important to underscore that Iran has been very clear and has telegraphed that it will mete out a retaliation for that attack on the Iranian compound.
What was that, Hasan? Oh my God! If
on April 1st,
up, you would instantly look stupid because they fucking said it.
Well, it's
What
Hasan.
a
He can't
fucking
help it.
idiot, bro! This is great.
He can't help it. He can't help it. He's silly.
That by telegraphing it so clearly, Iran is trying to find that precise point, and this is where it gets dangerous and difficult.
She's doing a decent job.
Between escalating
He's so cocked
and
right now.
retaliating and avoiding creating a scenario that you can't pull back from the brink of, there is always the capacity for things to go wrong.
Whoever hurts us, we hurt them. We will protect ourselves from any threat and will do so with coolness and determination. I know that you...
He was instantly clowned by the mainstream media.
Yeah, embarrassing.
Citizens of Israel are also keeping your cool. I urge you to listen to the directives of the Home Front Command. Together we will stand, and with God's help, together we will overcome all our enemies.
Oh, finally, we got the weirdos in here again. So you're rooting for Iran. If this prompts a response from the U.S., it could mean economic collapse and further escalation. Iran controls oil exports. Millions could die. It's not good that Iran escalated now. What the f do you mean? If you're mad that Iran retaliated to Israel, you should be incredibly angry at Joe Biden and incredibly angry at Israel for literally getting it to this level, for allowing Israel to feel comfortable in drawing the United States.
Stop making it about us, bro.
Every time. He can't help himself.
We're not every country, okay? Jesus, fuck, bro.
Into this broader conflict. Iran didn't escalate. Iran retaliated. If Clarissa Ward on CNN can understand that fact, if Clarissa Ward on CNN is saying that Iran is trying to retaliate in an even fashion so that they do not draw an even larger
Hasan, the question was, are you on the side of Iran?
Be able to understand that too. It is wild to assume that a regional actor that has developed its weapons capabilities specifically for this purpose is not going to retaliate when their own soil is struck. The Damascus consulate compound is Iranian soil. Israel greatly escalated it. The reason why you didn't hear about it is because mainstream media barely covered it. It was a blip. When it was a major move, the United States' response to Israel's major move was to say, oh, they didn't tell us. That's really that they didn't tell us ahead of.
Like, come on. We compile a lot of news to go through and scan of like all this media and shit. Was that a blip? Like, that was pretty fucking covered.
No.
And
no,
also,
it wasn't. Like you should be aware.
For days, the implication that something big could come from Iran to have this little like, it's like how how a sea cumber shoots the threads out. It's more like that than an actual full on cum shot.
Sure.
Iran is more of a
time.
sea
This is
cucumber than an alpha penis.
Awful. This is going to ruin. This is going to possibly
their
ruin
butts
the
in their
lives
mouth,
of many people in Israel.
You know, it's clearly cucumber-like traits.
It's probably going to ruin the lives of many people in Iran, and would, if depending on what happens after this, depending on how this round
their lives
of
are already
retaliation
ruined.
goes, and
They live in Iran.
Yeah. How Israel chooses to escalate, and given that they've been violent and belligerent from the jump, which caused this retaliation to happen to begin with, I worry that this
Not
will have
Iran,
global consequences.
Iran
I hope not.
famously
But the next
and
couple of days,
non-belligerent.
Yeah, never. Not even once.
Like, can we just acknowledge like what this region is like? You know, at least we have Sisi in Egypt, who is just the best coward there is. You know, he's never gonna do anything wrong. Speaking
will
of never gonna do
determine
anything wrong,
the future of this planet. It can be a tempered approach. The United States will rein in Israel and say, listen, they took pot shots back at you after you took pot shots. You just got to take the L here. Or it can mean full-scale global conflict. I have a little faith in the USA that can handle this appropriately. The reason why this is happening today is because the USA has not handled it appropriately. If Anthony Blinken, like he tweeted on October 8th, urged Israel to de-escalate and urged restraint for Israel. If that tweet had been kept up after that
let's
meeting
show Anthony Blinken in that fucking the fucking shipping container, basically crying. Do you see? You know this post? You know,
I don't think I saw that one.
So it says this is just Google Translate, not an official translation. So it's HTS reporting. So among the proposals presented within the reforms, HTS is changing the name of the Shura Council and expanding it to include representation of women and minorities. The features of the next stage are taking shape more, which is probably like bad translation. Then James posted this. It's Jelani just in a chair. He's never gonna do anything wrong. Like this is like awesome. This is so good that this happened. Like the theory, that I'm constantly presenting, that the way to stop terrorism is to legitimize them, is showing right now with Jelani. You know, and it is so much different when you have someone like Bin Laden, who was already legitimate and had the money and the cash flow and all that shit. He didn't need friends.
No.
With Hakan Fidan, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. After Anthony Blinken and Hakan Fidan had a conversation on October 8th, that was something that Anthony Blinken tweeted and deleted very quickly. If that was the attitude from October 8th, it would have never gotten to this point, because Israel would know that there are red lines. Israel would know that there are boundaries that they cannot cross if they demand unconditional support from the United States of America. Biden, on the other hand, reaffirmed his commitment to Israel, said that there were no red lines.
Yeah, I think this is also, can Iran be tempered? I think we clearly saw after the tower strikes in Jordan, and Iran clearly showed they were tempered. You just have to be plugged in enough to the media, and I mean not media as in news, but like the media that you leaks and things like that, the rumors that you can get from all these diplomatic things. Just Iran telling their proxies to stand down, like, don't get this hot with America right now. Like, shit is already way too hot with Israel. Like, we don't want to pull America and Israel into a war, basically, is what they were telling their proxies. So, I mean, that's an excuse that Iran has been tempered before. I don't know how many arguments I can make for Israel.
Said go all out.
They haven't gone into Rafah yet.
Has done
I guess
in the last 6 months after that. When you tell Israel no red lines, they're going to keep crossing the red lines that other regional actors have drawn. Understandable red lines that other regional actors have drawn. You let the dog off the leash. That's the point. Okay, official IRGC statement. Breaking. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps releases a statement in response to the crime of the
terrorist media.
Zionist regime and the attack on the consular section of the Iranian embassy in Damascus, the IRGC Air Force hit certain targets in the territories of the Zionist regime with dozens of drones and missiles.
No,
That's what they said. I said this a
this
couple
is
of days
fake
ago, but
This is
it
fake
does
news.
seem, I might be
Bro,
totally.
it's the IRGC. How do they know? How do they know? How do they know, Hasan? They aren't there. They aren't there to even see it, bro. How do they know what they hit? Think about it. Use your fucking brain, bro.
Totally off base on this, but it does seem like, given the fact that Iran very clearly spelled out that this would be a retaliation against Israel for the Damascus strike, that their response, while
The
to you
media also
guys from
spelled it out
afar
like
looks
that
like,
too, bro.
overkill, so many drones, is most likely going to try to strike an Israeli target of equal worth. The reason why they're sending hundreds of drones, of course, in three different salvos,
to actually
is because
think that was something that was going to happen, bro. They were like, while the drones and missiles were in the air, Iran goes, the operation is concluded. We're even now. And I was like, Iran is really doing the tag you're at and then screaming that they're not playing anymore.
Israel, alongside with coalition forces, has tremendous defenses. So they're trying to get through it. That's the reason why. Most of those drones are not going to make it. Some of them will be intercepted above Syria. Some of them will be intercepted above Iraq. And some of them will be intercepted near Israel.
Somebody, right? How many actual impacts were it? Or is it only the one?
There was only a couple. There wasn't many.
Okay. You sound like you are condoning attacking Israel, aka a civilian population. I genuinely don't understand how you can be at the precipice of World War III and still be interested in trying to farm a clip. Literally, that's wild to me. That is actually wild to me. There are hundreds of drones currently heading in the direction of Israel, and there are still chatters in here who are like, I can't wait. I can't wait to get.
Obviously, not the fucking lawnmowers.
A clip off here. This is going to pop off on Reddit. I have never, oh my God.
So
I'm
Iran
Israeli and I
built
live in
these
the
drones thinking that they could use them to overwhelm, right? And we've seen them effective in Russia, where there's not airspace, that's like they need to fucking be able to defend against all these shits, like Israel does. The fucking lawnmowers were designed to supposedly like get through all that, then do shit.
No, it didn't.
North, I'm going to sit in my balcony and just watch the missiles and drones come in law. Be safe, bro. What the fuck? Don't rely on the Iron Dome. These are not bathtub missiles. You know what I mean? These are not bathtub missiles being lobbed from Gaza, made by 17-year-olds using Israeli rocket parts. These are big boy drones and pop.
Bro, they were made in Iran. They have the level 2 access to scrap. Gaza only has the level 1 access.
Possibly big boy missiles to come as a follow-up. This isn't like
Hasan, they had to fucking get the microchips to run the lawnmowers out of the fucking Dell computers that were in our schools. Okay?
Hezbollah ends up striking northern Israel. There is more of a threat than the Hamas and Islamic Jihad rockets.
Yeah,
so this is a genuine attack.
Hezbollah is not going to do that though, because they know, because they've been occupied by Israel before, or the Lebanese, right? They know that Israel will go over that border because it's not like Iran. It's not far away, right? They'll go right over that border just like they went into Gaza. So Hezbollah knows that they have state power, they have state control, they have monopoly on funds, they're draining their country's economy and enriching themselves. Why would they risk that? They're not going to do shit.
Strategic goals or an authoritarian government reasserting authority by peacocking after they got smacked? No, it is a genuine retaliatory attack from an authoritarian government reasserting its authority. But it is a genuine retaliation to a regional actor that has gotten out of control. Fucked up that this is what LeBron has to say about the war. Nothing like two heavyweights doing what they do best for the love of the sport. That's messed up, dude. I'm gonna quote tweet. Is it
That's
cheesy to
epic.
quote tweet it and be like, nothing like two heavyweights doing what they do best for the love of the sport. How can NatSec bros look at this and say Iran is at fault? They are being the aggressor as if everything happens in a vacuum. What do you mean?
Nobody's doing that.
They're either A, paid
Nobody
to
is doing
feel
that.
that way, or B.
Elaborate.
The only people I've seen spinning that shit is politicians. Right-wing politicians, right?
Okay.
And Mike Johnson especially, right? But if Mike Johnson is doing this so he can fucking get the votes on the aid bill so he won't get ousted by the Democrats. By the way, I'm not sure. Did we look at the fucking Kevin McCarthy shit talking about Matt Gaetz?
No.
Very funny.
Okay.
Basically, McCarthy opened up about how the Matt Gaetz, the main reason he ran to like push the movement to oust him was because he wanted Kevin McCarthy to basically kill an ethics committee investigation on Gaetz trafficking a 17-year-old.
Amazing.
Right. And he goes, and McCarthy is like, it was from the previous speaker. You know, it's like, I can't do that, you know. And he's like, also, you know, did he do it? I don't know. But other people who are involved have went to jail. So, but ethics is looking at it.
Fucking hell. No, I don't think we did look at that.
That's basically,
that is,
that's the whole quote, basically.
That is epic.
Directly LARPing as a person who's paid to be that way when they are not. Also, this is still not a good thing for the chatters who are celebrating. You're behaving like you, many of you were on October 7th. If you cannot see how much worse things are going to get, especially given Israel's track record so far, I don't know what to tell you. It's bad.
On a streak.
It's just all bad. This is also another interesting perspective that even I forgot to cover here. Iran says it wouldn't need to retaliate if UN had condemned the strike on Damascus. This is from Times of Israel on the 11th of April, 2024. The imperative for Iran to retaliate for the attack on its embassy compound in Damascus might have been avoided had the UN Security Council condemned the strike. Tehran's mission to the United Nations says, had the UN Security Council condemned the Zionist regime's reprehensible act of aggression on our diplomatic premises in Damascus and subsequently brought justice to its perpetrators, the imperative for Iran to punish this rogue regime might have been obviated. The mission writes on X.
This is like,
Israel is not publicly
like adding credence to like Iran being like based and like adult. Bro, this is so petty and childish. Like petulant child shit.
On the strike. Now, just a reminder that that's why the American response to the...
But it was funny.
Damascus embassy strike was very... Do you really think all they wanted was a finger wagging from the UN? No, they also say punish the perpetrators. Here's the thing. The Iranian government doesn't really want the smoke either. If they did, they would have retaliated after October 8th, but they never did. If you remember, one of the major things that happened after October 7 was something that was truly unique, truly unprecedented. The heads of the Iranian state, the American State Department, and even the Israeli government organs were all collectively saying that Iran did not have anything to do with October 7. That was truly a unique moment, especially because the American State Department and
that's where it started, where I was like, Hasan immediately said something wrong. So the other cut is like starting from there.
Okay.
So like, here's the thing. He's also wrong here. What it showed is that the state of Iran was not implicated directly in the planning and orchestrating of the attack. Okay, to be clear, that's what it showed. Just like how, even though Saudi government officials funded 9/11, it does not link the Saudi state to the 9/11 attacks. It links specific individuals in the government that are most likely rogue, but who knows? Could be weird. There's not enough
Israeli government
evidence.
love saying everything is Iran's fault. They love it. They love, even when it's not, and in many instances it is, they always say it's Iran's fault. The point is that Iran has showed a lot of restraint thus far. If it were to utilize this as an opportunity for good PR for itself, seeing like the way that the Houthis were treated, Ansarullah was treated. How does Israel benefit from dragging the U.S. into this conflict? What do you mean? Israel wants total elimination of Iran.
Is
Israel
showing a
wants
lot
to
of
nuke
restraint,
Iran.
not using
America is the
nukes,
number
bro.
one country on the planet. It's
Yeah, so much restraint. Like fucking hell,
Yeah, bro.
nuclear
Yeah,
threat
literally,
95.
Israel, like it doesn't even come close. Some years they have over 50%, right? Like I think it's like an average. It's like 50% on the dot if you like go from like a certain year. Like Syria didn't even come close to that at the height of the war, and he was fucking gassing people.
Top dog is the hegemonic
There's no
superpower.
such thing
Having
as a
America in
leftist.
your corner means more weapons. Having America in your corner means
It's
better
seriously
support
seriously
directly
a term
from.
that's really been co-opted and invented by, like you look at Matt Walsh, he'll say, but the left wants to kill babies, and it's like, who's the left? It's just an enigma. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Don't make me tap the meme. Don't make me bring it up again.
The largest actor in every region. Yeah, they're calling Big Bro. They're calling Daddy. That's what it is. That's literally what it is. It's just like they can't handle it on their own. Of course, they can't handle Iran on their own. So they're calling Daddy. The only way Israel restrains itself after this is if America is like, done. You're done. You're done. Stop it, bro.
Look at how it goes like there. Literally, I said, no, I'm not a leftist. And it's instantly like, you're Trump's bitch. He's going to win in November. Like, you people can't even control yourselves.
No, it's
pathetic.
Actually hilarious. What's even funnier is we're sitting here criticizing him, and we do this a lot.
Awareness, not strong with this one.
No.
Military, they've been doing Air Force training in Cyprus for bombing Iranian targets on Iranian soil. Depending on the casualties, they will
crazy. Oh my God, military training happened for hypothetical scenarios that could happen. They're preparing for a war that hypothetically could happen. Oh my God.
Oh, all things considered, looking at their current track record. Iranian embassy in the UN says we attacked the Zionist regime in accordance to Article 51 of the UN Charter. Attack and self-defense.
Can you
hear? The sound must be muted. I don't know.
Moron.
I don't know. Brain
Following the attack in Damascus, the matter is over, but the Israeli regime may make another mistake, and then Iran's reaction will be much more severe. This is a conflict between Iran and the Israeli.
Iran
does have planes.
Yeah, bro. Sure they do. So they have some trainers that still fly for sure, right? And you could probably strap a bomb to a trainer, right? There's a reason why they're investing in lawnmowers and not fucking aircraft, my guy.
Regime, their U.S. should keep its distance. Israeli chatter here. Do you believe Israel actually might not respond? No.
Yeah, that's why it's
I
funny.
do think
That's why we put it in the politics
that
category, because they come in. It's hysterical.
Like it was in talk shows, I think, and which probably fits more, but politics, news,
it's funny.
Fits. So.
Israel will respond. Just judging by like America's lack of interest in restraining Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu's interest of self-preservation at any cost, like that war cabinet is, unless like, dude, anything short of like a Shin Bet assassination of like all of the most right-wing institution, all of the most right-wing like war cabinet members, I don't think Israel is changing course. Either that or America just being like, yeah, you're done. Stop it. We're not going to help you at all. Because why would they? This is the whole point.
They did say
why
that,
else
bro.
would they strike the...
He finally got a prediction right.
Finally.
Iranian consulate compound in Damascus. Why would they do that?
Yep.
That's one step removed from directly striking
He's doing
Iran.
That thing where you can only go in a circle again.
Yeah. Are we staying on Israel or are we done here?
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, like, we still have to... So Israel announced that they are going to retaliate and shit. So there's that stuff. And there's, U.S. stances and stuff. There's some John Bolton shit in there. Fox News has reporting on it that's going to be super cringe.
I'm John Yang. The day after Iran used drones and missiles to carry out its first ever direct assault on Israel, diplomacy took center stage today. Leaders from the White House to capitals around the globe are scrambling tonight to try to keep this unfolding and perilous conflict from spiraling out of control. Tonight, our coverage begins with Nick Schiffer.
Because when I think of conflicts that are in control, it's this one.
Yeah, Israel's in total control.
It's not
Everything is
spiraling.
totally calculated, and
Yeah.
nothing has gone their way. No, nothing, not at all.
Above the holiest sites in one of the world's holiest cities, rockets lit up the night sky.
Bro, I
An
love that
Israeli
this
air defense
the funniest
blocked an
part about these people coming in and asking if you're like Biden or Trump guys and stuff is like, like you're fucking Australian. Like what the fuck? Like
is
they
the
really
funniest
like
part.
have zero fucking awareness of the word.
I didn't even think about it like that. That's so funny.
Unprecedented Iranian attack across all
I think
of
from
Israel.
now on, we just sort of bait them, and then I go, "Can you hear me talk? Do I sound American?"
The Israeli Defense Forces said it thwarted 99% of more than 300 drones and missiles. The majority launched from Iran, but some also came from Iranian-backed proxies in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. American officials say the U.S. shot down at least 75 of them, almost all in Jordanian airspace. Israel said the only missiles that entered Israeli airspace were ballistic, including one that wounded a 7-year-old girl. Israel reported no deaths and only minor damage to an Air Force base. Iran said they were responding to Israel's killing senior Iranian generals inside Iran's Damascus consulate and called the attack tit for tat.
From our point of view, this operation is over and there is no intention to continue the operation. But if the Zionist regime takes any action against the Islamic Republic, our next operation will be much larger.
By the light of day, Israelis returned to normal, but the region is anything but, and Israel's leadership says the incident is very much not over.
We are still on high alert and assessing the situation. Over the last few hours, we approved operational plans for both offensive and defensive action.
But the U.S. is counseling restraint.
It will be funny if
President Biden,
like, because Iran is famous for being like, one day it's going to come and never doing anything.
Yeah.
If Israel uses that leverage on them, like
And
now
the
they're
leaders of
the
the-
people who are like, one day the punch is coming.
world's 7 largest industrialized nations, warned Iran's attack could lead to, quote, uncontrollable
King of Jordan is
escalation.
white.
That's funny. I
The
didn't.
King
but
of
that's
Jordan
very
is
funny.
white. So is his wife. She's
They
hot.
vowed to de-escalate, and in a phone call,
He's a
Biden
short
told
king,
Prime
too,
Minister
literally.
Benjamin Netanyahu
His wife's taller.
He's a literal short king.
who the U.S. would not take part in an Israeli retaliation. National Security spokesman John Kirby repeated that message this morning.
It's going to be up to the Israelis to decide what the next step is here. I will just say this. President Biden, since the beginning of this conflict, has worked very hard to keep this from becoming a broader regional.
If Israel launches planes, America should bomb their landing strips.
Oh my
so
God,
they
that
can't
reminds
land
me.
again.
I made a sound bite. We brought up Black Red Guard, and it snapped into my brain that I have a sound bite.
war to keep the tensions from escalating.
Senior administration officials said today the G7 group of countries could impose new coordinated sanctions, and other countries could join the U.S. in labeling the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps a terrorist group. That is the diplomatic focus, John, that the U.S.
terrorist group?
No, they're thinking about it.
impose new coordinated sanctions, and other countries could join the
Yeah. Don't sanction Israel. Sanction Iran. Okay, bro.
U.S. in labeling the Islamic Revolutionary
Are
Guard
you
Corps
ready?
a terrorist group. That is the diplomatic
how this
focus,
turns
John,
out.
that the U.S. wants, of course, but the major
First
focus
play
we are
of this
waiting
sound
for.
bite that I made fresh. You ready?
When you're tweeting about we don't need gun control, we need cracker control, are you meaning we need to get the white folks under control?
What'd you get rid of for that one?
Huh?
What'd you get rid of?
One of the Frost Nixon ones.
Okay.
The major response we're waiting for.
Look,
is
it's a
Israel's
gun
military
control one that we can always fucking whenever we're talking about gun control, we now have a soundbite for that.
We now have one.
Nick, let's start by looking back at last night with this really remarkable effect.
That's Dr. Phil talking to Black Red Guard, by the way.
The United States did move some U.S. assets into the region. How important were they in this operation?
President Biden himself said it was absolute.
Total. But
yeah,
you know, I don't know how Twitter does their metrics, because it's like
I'm not sure, because it just spiked up one day. I don't know if people are watching or listening. We don't get Twitter comments, so I don't know. We have had some people type in Twitter chat when we've mentioned it before, but that's nobody else. They're just lurkers, which that's fine. Lurk away.
Absolutely essential. Over the last 10 days, Israel and the United States have been working coordinated on this response. The senior administration
we also don't know how
said,
Twitter's view metrics work. We already know that they're inflated, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, are these, if they click, does it count as like, it's just going to continue counting as a view, right? So if it's like 85, but 85 clicks on Twitter is still like a decent amount for like something our size.
And that included moving fighter squadrons into better positions, and those fighter squadrons shot down more than 70 drones. The U.S. also moved an additional destroyer into the region to join a destroyer already there, and that helped shoot down 4 or 6 of those 100 plus ballistic missiles fired by Iran toward Israel. We know of no previous occasion in U.S.-Israeli history in which the U.S. launched jets during an attack on Israel or fired missiles from boats during an attack on Israel. Strategically, the reason that is so important, John, is that a senior administration official said that if this attack had succeeded, there would have been, quote, uncontrollable escalation and a broader regional conflict. The U.S. assesses that this attack was absolutely designed to kill Israelis.
Like,
maybe Israel shouldn't have
how
bombed
is
the
it an
fucking
attack
consulate.
if you're shooting someone else's missile?
Yeah.
Right? The U.S. should be perfectly justified in using countermeasures over Ukraine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if this is a real world example where nothing happened.
Yeah, because Iran can't do shit. What are they going to do? Fucking build an even newer advanced lawnmower?
I mean, shit, just fucking stick some naval ships in the Mediterranean. What's Russia going to do?
Even,
Get away
like,
from our
they don't even have like the
area?
capacity to manufacture like nerve agent, you know? Like they really don't have shit.
Widespread damage, and the fact is it didn't. And if that had happened, the assumption is that Israel and Iran perhaps might be at war already.
Looking forward, as Israel does ponder what to do next, what are the factors they're weighing, and what's the United States telling them?
Israeli media already reported that there was a quick cabinet meeting last night in which Israeli leaders considered an immediate strike, but that the Biden-Bibi phone call, the Netanyahu-Biden phone call, seems to have tamped down the possibility of that. And Israeli officials today are saying they will strike whenever they deem it proper
They're doing
to strike.
They're doing the
there
Iran
are many military options for Israel, of course, inside Iran itself, whether that's Iranian government, IRGC, the nuclear sites even. But a senior administration official said 2 important things today. One, Israel's made clear to us they are not looking for a significant escalation with Iran. If that is accurate, that means that they are not looking to strike directly against Iran, at least at the moment. And 2, a senior administration official said very bluntly, we would not be part of any response they do. That is longstanding U.S. policy.
Okay,
but
let's
still,
move on
to
from
say
this.
that is really...
Let's get some Fox. Let's get some terrible stuff in here again. Let's get some Fox News stuff. They were all saying dumb shit about this. We've done 2 PBSs. It's like, okay, we get it. It's serious. Okay.
Yeah.
Wild Kangaroo.
A few days
Israel at
after
war.
I became
This
speaker
is
way back in
perfect
October,
thing to
we
fucking
passed
open on, bro. But he's even lit like
Israel
fire
support.
and brimstone.
Package. It's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk ever since. The House Republicans and the Republican Party understand the necessity of standing with Israel. We are going to try again this week, and the details of that package are being put together right now. We're looking at the options and all these supplemental issues.
House Speaker Mike Johnson putting aid to Israel on the front burner of the congressional agenda following Iran's attack on our closest ally in the Middle East. Want to bring in former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Thanks for being here, sir.
Our closest ally in the Middle East.
This week, the House was supposed to have all week long. They were going to talk about appliances, And believe
Who's
me,
our
with the
closer
dishwasher that
allies?
takes
And
3
they're like,
hours,
all the white
I'm
ones.
here for that. But they're going to set that aside, and they're going to focus on foreign policy. There's 17 bills that they're putting forward. Aid to Israel and aid to Ukraine, possibly, are both on the table. Can Speaker Johnson, with his very narrow majority, get it done?
Yes, I think there'll be overwhelming support. The difficulty here is, why are we here? The first thing we need to do is thank our men and women in uniform. They did a tremendous job this weekend helping deflate what went on. But remember what transpired. For the first time in history, Iran sent missiles from their homeland directly into Israel. This is something that has never happened before. And why did it take place?
We
It is
get
the
it.
foreign
It's never happened
policy of the
before.
Biden administration. What he did in Afghanistan, the allowing of raising the sanctions
Iran
of
is
the
more white
oil
than the Saudi,
produced
but there
not
are
400,000 barrels a
they're
day, but 3 million.
to these
Iran
people.
has
No,
billions of dollars now, and they're funding terrorism everywhere around. Congress has been slow to act. They should have taken care of this back in October because the world looks much different. It looks a lot like the 1930s. You have not just Iran, but Russia, North Korea, and China creating the axis of evil bounding together. We only saw this in the 30s. So the actions that the House and Senate take really sends a message throughout the world. It has been delayed.
the whole
since
point of
October
them
7th. We're talking 6
saying
months
like
before we have taken
they don't
action.
recognize
I
Israel
think
as
it
white
was a
because they're
mistake to try to
Jews.
put
That
a
was the
paper
joke.
on this. It sends the wrong message around the world. Much of this funding will go to reproduce weaponry for our own stockpiles because we have been sending, just as we used missiles this weekend.
Oh my God, they're being honest.
Iran was sending. It's our own stockpiles here in America. We should not be depleted. We should not be in a weaker situation. But if you simply look back to what then Vice President Biden wrote in 2020 about the policy for the Middle East, it shows every decision he made has been wrong. Secretary Gates has been right. His change in foreign policy here has led to 5 embassies evacuating from America on foreign soil. What happened in Afghanistan, the movement to our allies looking towards China, and now for the first time in history, Iran sending missiles into Israel.
But just to add to that, the Middle East has changed, period.
Yes.
Like in our lifetimes, there are alliances now that never existed before. And if you just listen to the end of
Before your lifetimes,
Jordan,
are you?
Saudi
Who
Arabia,
changed
UAE,
it?
coming to Israel.
Come on,
This
bro.
is a remarkable moment. Really one to behold. And in the
but let's
meantime,
look
let's
at
look at
your
why. Look at
fucking
this.
asses.
Dems are divided on the whole idea. And John Fetterman, the Democratic senator from Pennsylvania,
Oh my God,
he just
here we
pierced
go.
that point on CNN Sunday. Watch him what he said there.
I think it really demonstrates how it's astonishing that we are not standing firmly with Israel, and there should never be any kinds of conditions on all that. When a nation can launch hundreds of drones towards Israel, and I'm not going to be talking about conditions ever.
Okay, you're a witness. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think there's an excellent position. I think Fetterman has been superior when it comes to his position on how to deal with Israel. But remember with President Biden being sworn in January 2020, why are all those nations working together? The Abraham Accords.
Oh
This
my
is
God,
something that
shut
we've never
up.
seen before. That should
Shut
have been
the fuck
a Nobel
up.
Prize recipient because of what
Not the
happened
best
there.
source.
But had President Biden embraced the Abraham Accords on the day he was sworn in,
Stop
Saudi
it.
Arabia would be a part of it today. October 7th
Send
would
in
never
Jared.
take place, and this
J-Man.
weekend would not have taken place, and the hostages would still not be held.
And that
today.
dynamo of
This is
energy
the
and
uniqueness
excitement,
in the policy
Jared
change from the
Kushner.
last administration. But you actually have Democrats as Fetterman, but that's not where the majority of Democrats have been. They have shifted their position.
Mr.
on
Kushner,
this. They
all
have
of this
shifted
must have a
politically,
cost.
and you've
He
watched
said
the
it never
president
happened. He
shift
said
as
the
well from
Holocaust
October
never
7th
happened.
today,
Thank
leaning
you,
more
Jared
towards,
Kushner.
where this Democrat Party is going, appeasement to a terrorist organization. It's not acceptable, and it's
You hear
causing
this
more
shit?
harm,
You
and
hear
we are
this shit?
less safe
Oh
today
my
because
God,
of it.
they're so cringe,
Thank
bro.
you so much. It was interesting to see how many Democrats
Amazing.
put out a lot of statements in support of Israel.
I've just been
as
shaking
those
my head
missiles
the
rained
whole
down
time.
on Saturday night. Kevin McCarthy, thanks for being here. We'll
Thank you, sir.
stay in touch.
I'm Steve
Kevin
Doocy.
McCarthy.
Brian Kilmeade.
That means Lee Earhart.
Brian, kill me. No, really, Brian, do it. Kill me. Kill me, please. Brian.
Glad to be with you.
Well, yeah,
So,
normally
I'd like to get
children
your
don't go to college, so.
Oh, the Twitch Nazi left.
Oh yeah, a while
to
ago.
where we are today. United Nations Security Council yesterday urging everyone to show restraint. It depends now on if
This is
Israel
one of my
chooses to
favorite
do
main
that. As you and I have
characters.
discussed before, there have been a lot of things that could have been done leading up to this, as far as the nuclear sites in Iran, that you think the U.S. could have maybe been stronger in defensive,
He's like the
attacking them.
old
But now it
mustache
looks like this
professor
could
that like
be the
Trump
next
shoved
move
down
in
on
play
campus.
if you're
Did you hear that? I almost spat my apple out.
No, we're talking about nuclear sites.
as far as the nuclear sites in Iran, that you think the U.S. could have maybe been stronger in defensive, attacking them. But now it looks like.
Hey, John Bolton. Please, game end. Please. please. You should not be alive anymore.
No quick saving.
Go the fuck away, please. Nobody wants you here.
All right, what would
Fuck off.
What would you rather have, Bolton or Trump?
Oh.
There is some really funny John Bolton stuff from the Trump admin, though.
John
Especially
Bolton.
with the
John
Kurds.
Bolton, because you can always put him in the cabinet and then tell him to shut the fuck up. There, that's my answer.
It's like this could be the next move in play if you're Israel and don't want to just sit back. What is your read, sir?
Well, we can tell from the debates within the Israeli war cabinet that they've made a decision. They are going to retaliate. So to the extent President Biden...
Not a single person on earth with a mustache is a good person.
What about
and others
Mario?
urged no retaliation, which I think was shameful.
He kills Goombas. He's an evil human being.
Yeah, the Goombas are evil.
The Goombas did nothing wrong.
I think the Israelis are going to reject that. I think the debate now is how strong the retaliation is going to be, and that's an important question. I think we should recognize Israel has been under attack by Iran and its terrorist proxies all over the Middle East since October the 7th. And some of these terrorist proxies like Hezbollah are very, very heavily armed with missiles and drones. So Israel's got to think of its own security. But the principal threat that Iran poses to the whole world, not just the region, is its effort to get nuclear weapons. And Israel, as the little Satan, would be the first target of those.
You ready for the
weapons,
checkmate?
but the United States is the great Satan.
The checkmate on the
world.
mustache debate.
Uh-huh.
Words of the Ayatollah I think is at risk, as are other friends and allies. The U.S. shouldn't be criticizing Israel now. It shouldn't be acting as if it had a win, as the president apparently told Netanyahu over the weekend, simply because no Israelis died. That's not a win. That's dodging the bullet, literally, in this case, over 300 bullets. The question is, what makes Iran stop firing missiles and drones at Israel? And I think retaliation.
What makes Iran stop firing shit at Israel? How about not hitting a foreign consulate in a foreign country, you fucking dickhead?
Although, I honestly,
like,
it was
sure,
funny.
IRGC targets, whatever, it's funny, but also...
yeah, I just think it's funny.
Would go a long way to making that point.
Well, as we watch that, we know that the U.S. did shoot down the drones, and also UK was involved, Saudi Arabia and Jordan. Did Iran get somewhat, although they weren't successful, did they get somewhat of a domestic win to kind of quell some of the folks that they wanted to show that they would respond after Syria? And do you believe
How
that...
the fuck would John Bolton know the answer to this question?
And it's an obvious answer. Of course they got a win off of this. Come on.
No, I know, but in all seriousness, how the fuck?
Bro, you see all the diplomas behind him? He's an expert. Where are your diplomas?
Framed pieces of paper. It's being held up by the
He's written
United
a book.
States. A U.S. fucking university is what.
He was an ambassador.
I don't give a shit. He's a fucking warmongering piece of shit. How did he become the ambassador to the United Nations? Is my question.
He said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Trump. Yes, sir, Mr. Trump." until he disagreed on something. Ironically, that was Trump going harder on Iran. That he he wanted Trump wasn't fucking Iran hard enough, and Bolton didn't like that. So Trump is just like, he's an angry little man. He hates Iran.
When they say this matter is over, that it would be, or do you think they're just plotting, no matter what Israel does, that they have other ulterior motives, knowing that Joe Biden's still here in the White House and, frankly, hasn't enforced sanctions?
Are you going to ask the question?
Billions of dollars.
What? Come on. Is this really how we're interviewing people now? You ask the most basic question: is did Iran get a victory, or blah, 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 just leading all this fucking shit on like how you want him to fucking actually answer the question? You're basically going, hey, here's what I want you to say, and then having him repeat it back to you. That's the equivalent of the fucking question she just asked.
They're not worried about the United States. They don't see Biden as having the spine to cross Iran's red line of not attacking on their territory. There's a very interesting.
Yeah.
Also, I
the United States totally doesn't. Come on, bro.
These
you did it while you were in office. You know damn well.
These all look like framed letters. On a closer look.
They're not like
piece of information.
Honorary doctorate of.
They literally look like written letters that are framed.
Wall Street Journal reported yesterday that I don't think is getting much attention, but the figures that Israel uses, the U.S. uses, roughly 115 to 130 ballistic missiles fired by Iran, not counting the cruise missiles, not counting the drones. Wall Street Journal, citing an anonymous U.S. official yesterday, said half of those missiles crashed on launch or didn't make it far enough to get shot down. Which means that when we say 99% of the 320 plus projectiles were shot down, I'm not sure.
And then it was like,
right. These numbers are moving around.
Rapid fire.
Maybe it indicates even more ballistic missiles were fired that aren't in that 320 category. But just the total volume of what the Iranians fired could have caused enormous damage in Israel if they had gotten through. And not every day will be as good for missile defense technology as Saturday night was.
Okay, bro. Oh my God, we get it. Got to show all the monuments. Cringe.
There we go. We'll finish on this one, and then we'll
finish.
Move on. No, move on to the next subject.
There's a lot of stuff in there to look at.
You want to keep going?
Oh God, come on! You're going to finish on this? Out of all things to finish on, I'm gonna want to kill my
yes.
My totally not killing anything. Actually, come to think of it.
Conflict in the Middle East ratcheted up over the weekend after Iran unleashed hundreds of drones, ballistic, and cruise missiles on Israel military targets on Saturday in response to Israel's attack on Iran's consulate in Syria, which killed 2 Iranian generals 2 weeks ago, and which represented a significant violation of the rules-based order. The Associated Press reported that 99%
What's the bet she's going to go off on the rules-based order?
Now, world leaders are pleading with Israel to refrain from escalating further for fear of drawing the United States and others into a regional war. In a phone call to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Saturday, President Biden was clear that the U.S. will not support any Israeli counterattack against Iran. That's according to Axios. A White House official said that Biden told Bibi, quote, "You got to win, take the win." Here to help unpack the current situation in the region is Trita Parsi, Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Robbie.
So let's get right to it. So this attack largely did not succeed. 99% of them shot down. I think there's one report of an injury. What was Iran's expectation
instead of their dumb takes?
Yeah, so it might actually.
I found it. There's one with Fox News blaming illegal immigration on this.
Awesome.
Just like how they fucking did you see they were like, when the eclipse happens, it's dark enough for the illegal immigrants to come in.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, that reminds me. RM Brown today was mad funny. he got a new drop, and it's Grimes, like being mad, and he's like, he keeps using it, and I was like, I was dying the whole time.
Kind of face-saving move on their part where they had to respond in some way, but they don't actually want to get into a broader conflict? Was it something else? What is your understanding of why they did this?
Given the fact that they gave the United States and Israel 72 hours heads up that they were going to do this
I was
strike,
literally
and
about to
that
quit saying
some
this
of the
guy's boring,
drones
can't
took
hear him.
about
But hey, good.
5 to
Open
7
it up
hours
with,
to get to
they told
Israel.
him ahead of time. It's
I think
obviously
it's quite
fake.
clear. This was the success the Iranians wanted. They were not designing
okay, I'm
this
done.
to
Goodbye.
actually cause any casualties or even any major damage. What they wanted to do was to show that they were going to violate an Israeli red line, since Israel violated an Iranian one. Show that they're willing to.
Great.
See, like all these are like 2 minutes long. There's one long one in there it's from psychopaths that I don't really care about looking at.
Meanwhile, the terror threat at the southern border continues to grow. According to CBP, 76 people on the FBI terror watch list have been apprehended at our border since October 1st. More than 400,000 illegal immigrants have flown in on commercial flights as part of the White House's parole and release program from migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Though the program is not taxpayer funded, as the recipients or their sponsors pay for the tickets. We're here to discuss is retired Border Patrol Chief Chris Klim.
And then
Chris, thanks
real
for being with us this
transition away
morning.
from this will be
a lot of focus on those countries.
The Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay.
Here at the end, because it's going to be funny, and you're going to be so mad about it and frustrated.
Mentioned, but in the wake of the news overnight, one of the concerns that has to be on every American's mind is all of these individuals on the terror watch list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's very alarming when you see those numbers that are already met and will expect to exceed last year's already high water mark when it comes to
the more I look, the more hats I'm finding in this shot, bro. It's like just when I think I found all the hats, there's
that
6
system is
more.
only as good as the information in there, so it's oftentimes limited. If we don't receive a hit while we're taking biometrics, we don't know who they are. So that is also a concern. You know, and again, those are the numbers and the people that we know about. One of my big concerns is the nearly 1.8 million known gotaways under this administration. I was just looking at CBP data earlier, and we've already met and exceeded every criminal category under this administration than we did in the previous administration. So, you know, who are these people that are getting away from our border patrol agents and law enforcement? They're the ones that are ending up in our neighborhoods, committing the crimes, and possibly people that may have been on that terror watch list.
Here are some of the numbers
They're
from
literally
various
doing
countries
it.
around the world. 86,000 Cubans, 168.
All of my elderly.
And although, as you mentioned, the gotaways, we probably have some indication of those on the terror watch list that we've caught, and giving us an idea of where they are coming from. Could you give us some idea? What countries are we talking about are sort of feeding those we're catching or perhaps losing from the terror watch list?
Well, I don't want to get into too much detail because I really don't have a lot of that detail anymore. But when I was chief, a lot of it was Colombia and South America countries because of some of the nexus they've had with different regimes. But a lot of them are coming from Middle Eastern countries and former Soviet bloc countries. So they're from all over the world. There's not one specific location. And that's why border security is national security, because this is not a problem of just to our neighbors to the south. They're flying in from all over the world.
He did not. Oh my God, bro.
Commie bastards. Well, actually, they're not communists anymore. They're a federation of independent, liberated states. Don't make me hurt you, Mikey.
This guy's got all the memes, bro. He's literally doing all the things. They're still communist. Hamas is coming to get you.
From countries that are not our allies, that wish to do us harm, and they're showing up at our border. Thank goodness we're arresting them, but I am very concerned with the 1.8 million gotaways. because quite honestly, people are
Such
focused
a
too much on
fucking
this
weird
immigration
word.
problem, not focused on this national security problem. Look, just in the last few months, we've had the FBI director
does that
testify
even mean?
twice that all the bells and whistles are going off. It's long overdue for this administration.
Imagine right
border
now.
security piece, the
Imagine
national
right
security
now
piece,
a
right
room
up-
with all the bells and whistles going off in it. It's like Mr.
At our southern
Megorium's
border.
Wonder Emporium in there.
Make that a priority number one to keep America safe and keep our community safe.
We appropriately focus on illegal immigration. It should be pointed out as well, as we saw chants this week of death to America in Michigan. Those are on legal immigrants to the United States. So we got to be paying attention to who's coming into this country. Thank you so much, Chris, for being with us this morning.
You got it. Thank you for bringing this topic up.
You bet.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Compelling analysis.
Oil prices fell on Monday. Markets dialed back risk premiums following Iran's weekend attack on Israel. One analyst told Reuters that the limited scale of the assault.
Wait, so
raised
you're telling
hopes
me
that
that
it wouldn't
Iran
spark major
attacked my gas
escalation.
prices?
International benchmark.
Now they've
Brent
gone
crude
too
fell
far.
Over 1% to under $90 a barrel by mid-morning in Europe. Benchmark US oil futures saw similar declines. Iran's action involved more than 300 missiles and drones and was the first attack on Israel from another country in more than 3 decades. But the attack caused only modest damage, with missiles shot down by Israel's Iron Dome defense system. Even so, it raised concerns about a wider regional conflict affecting oil traffic through the Middle East. Iran said it was retaliation for an airstrike on its Damascus consulate. Israel has neither confirmed or denied it struck the facility. One leading analyst said there is now plenty of uncertainty and oil prices could be further impacted by how Israel responds. Iran currently produces over 3 million barrels per day of crude oil and is a major player within OPEC. Analysts said supply risks included more strictly enforced oil sanctions. They added an Israeli response could involve targeting Iran's energy infrastructure. Oil benchmarks had risen on Friday in anticipation of Iran's attack and reached their highest level since October. Analysts were widely expecting at least a short-lived rally in prices this morning.
All right, joining us now, Republican Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. Senator, welcome back to Fox News Sunday. Okay, so your response to the calls by, listen, there are Democrats and Republicans, and you heard Admiral Kirby say that they want.
That was
not want to be here.
that was awesome.
That was his fucking lizard gulp. You know, he just ate a fly.
That Senate package to get done. The Speaker hasn't moved it in the House. What's your message to both of these bicameral institutions today?
Well, I think my position is pretty clear.
Violent crime.
I love Israel. I despise Putin. I despise the Communist Party of China. And I despise the Ayatollah in Iran.
Woo Mao, woo Mao, CPC, woo Mao.
Bro is speed running the terms.
I don't want America to be the world's policeman.
Yes, you do.
But I don't want those guys to be the world's policemen either. And with those guys, if you turn the other cheek, you just get it in the neck. More sheep is not going to solve the wolf problem. I don't know, but I expect the Speaker of the House probably next week to put an Israel support bill on the floor of the House. I think it'll be followed by a bill to support Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific. And number three, I think he will put a bill to support Ukraine. Now, I think his bill is going to make the money alone, LOAN. I think it will require Ukraine to pay it back. I think we will seize some Russian assets to pay for it. I think the bill will be limited to military aid, not humanitarian aid. And I think there will be some strong encouragement to make Europe, which is vastly more wealthy than Russia, to do a better job of putting its money where its mouth is. And I think the bill will pass. It'll come back to the Senate. And unfortunately, I predict that if it comes back to the Senate, the big issue on those bills will not be Ukraine. The big issue will be Israel, because it is clear that President Biden is being influenced by the Hamas wing of the Democratic Party.
Hamas.
To that point, you got Senator Sanders there, and one of your colleagues who says
Come on, bro.
in a
You can't
piece in
even
the
get
Boston
your
Globe
words
this week,
right.
he
You're
said
calling
not
it
another
CPC,
nickel
like,
to
cringe.
Netanyahu. He says, does America want to be on the side of history of standing with people who are child killers and creating starvation? I mean, those are his words. He seems determined to block anything going to Israel.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And in the past 60 days, we have seen President Biden.
I bet the
Oh, you
house that he's
paused.
in
I thought
right
he was
now,
having a fucking Mitch McConnell
No.
moment.
I would not be surprised if this house that he is currently in is an old plantation house. That would not surprise me
Bro,
at all.
like him, I'm pretty sure him and McConnell are both Kentucky. Just one is Senate, one is House.
No, he's Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Go wobbly in his support of Israel. And today, the White House has already leaked to the press early this morning that they're not going to participate in an Israeli response to what Iran just did. Let me say it again. More sheep is not going to solve the wolf problem. My advice to the president today, for what it's worth, Mr. President, don't. Stop it. Support Israel.
No.
With respect, go to Amazon and buy a spine online.
Oh, my God.
Peace through weakness never works, not with these hard men.
What about the issue of Rafah and the fact that there are more than 1 million civilians, many of them?
Hi, do you want to know how to fix this? Stop.
Are refugees from other areas within Israel. They were told to evacuate there. They're there now. We know that Hamas uses them as human shields, but the fact is they're there. You know, the U.S. is weighing in on this. We are cautioning them. We are also indicating we're not going to be supportive of a mission there. Israel says getting to Hamas is, you know, extinguishing an existential threat for them. But what are we to do about the civilian population caught in the middle of this thing?
Move them into the Sinai Peninsula.
Oh, my God.
That would require
Genocide.
the consent of Egypt. We send billions.
Yeah, you know what happened when this was suggested to Egypt? They're like, fuck you, and put their military on the border. Yeah, that's a great idea, you fucking half-wit.
Billions of dollars a year.
The White House on Sunday declared Iran's first direct attack on Israel an abject failure, with 99% of missiles intercepted before they could hit. U.S. President Joe Biden cut short a weekend trip to his home state of Delaware to return to the White House Saturday, where he spent hours on the phone with world leaders or in meetings in the Situation Room. White House officials also told reporters that Washington does not back an Israeli counterattack. The Biden administration stressed one point on Sunday.
The president has made it clear we do not seek a war with Iran.
As daylight dawned, Israeli leaders sought to focus on what this attack means for solidarity against Iran, which backs the militant groups that struck Israel on October 7th and sent the region spiraling into violence.
We have an opportunity here to establish a strategic alliance against this serious threat from Iran, which threatens to put nuclear explosives on the heads of these missiles. This thing could be a very serious threat. The U.S., Israel, and its allies stand shoulder to shoulder to defend against this threat.
Tehran vowed to retaliate for the suspected Israeli strike on the Iranian consulate in Damascus earlier this month. And Iran's ambassador to the United Nations argued Sunday that the consulate strike justified Iran's response. He stressed that Iran doesn't seek conflict with the U.S., but ended his speech with a warning.
However, if the U.S. initiate military operation against Iran, its citizens or its security and interest, Iran will use its inherent right to respond proportionately. I thank you.
Although Israelis expected this, it was still a harrowing night, many said the next day.
Nobody knew what to expect. Everybody was home waiting. So it was totally new experience. Eventually, people were very relieved because the attack was blocked.
The big question before Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is how Israel will respond.
And I think Israel, in the way it's calculated.
No, Israel will do whatever the fuck they want, no matter what people say.
All right, welcome back. We are following breaking news right now, 8:43 on a busy Monday morning. The commute snarled because of
on a Monday of all days.
Shutting down lanes across the Golden Gate Bridge, both directions
on the Golden
completely
Gate.
shut
That's
down right now, north and southbound. You're looking at one of our live cameras here, kind of situated towards that north end of the bridge where traffic is just at a standstill. For anyone commuting out of Marin County, expect a lot of delays. Use the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge, use ferries as an alternate to get into San Francisco, because right now the Golden Gate Bridge is unavailable. Let's show you the toll plaza. And anyone who makes this ride across Marin County, I know you travel across the Golden Gate Bridge, Reed, and look at this, no cars working their way through there.
And we've been showing you these protests that are, you know, in effect, shutting down many Bay Area bridges this morning for the last hour or so. And the protesters reportedly are out there once again sending a message that they feel like the United States is complicit with what is going on in Gaza. And so this is a coordinated effort reportedly launched on Instagram this morning that called for protesters to go out. But Gianna, as you've shown us over there on the other stretch closer to Oakland, 880, it's been really a precarious situation because those protesters came and they were ready. This shows
Oakland
that they
has
planned
good
this
organizing because
they chained themselves to barrels.
It has the
there.
gentrification from these like wannabe woke siliconites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's gentrifying Oakland, which is historically a very, you know, revolutionary type of neighborhood, you know?
Yes. Because it's majority black, right? Black Hispanic.
I don't know if Oakland still is. The gentrification in Oakland from Silicon Valley is a serious problem.
Because
Like,
it's
that's-
relatively close, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Oakland basically it's all Bay Area.
Okay.
So, but that's the thing is it's like the George Floyd protests, they were mostly organized through Oakland and stuff. Oakland had really like successful organizing, or very organized, like they like not clashing with police but still actually like doing like you know, hitting stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they were so organized. They even like they got on highways to block them like this and stuff.
We don't know right now how they're shutting down the Golden Gate Bridge, but we are going to our chopper shot, and that actually might reveal the scene there.
That's giving us a better perspective, and you can see all the activity there, and it looks a little different than what we're seeing over at the Golden Gate. Hard to tell, but I can see a banner there across the span there. They're holding up a banner over towards 880. They
Well,
actually
the cops
have
are
those
there and they
barrels
just can't
in the
do
roadway,
shit.
but yeah, you can see that there are people
Well,
standing in
Haley
lanes.
isn't a
Looks like they're
sadist,
using their
so-
cars as barricades this morning
Mhm.
on the Golden Gate Bridge, and there's a lot of activity there on scene.
So arguably that should be easier to clear, but you know, you see right there, the bridge police are on the road there, but we don't have a huge police presence over there on the Golden Gate Bridge because so many police are over on the 880 right now dealing with that situation.
Mhm.
So we continue to
See,
watch
they're
this
hitting them at
this morning.
multiple
So many cars
spots.
backed up.
Yeah.
This is that video we got in at the 880 right there. This is what appears to be, Gianna, the most difficult situation. Those protesters, like we say, they chain themselves to those large barrels, and not only chain themselves to the barrels, it looked like at one point there was an apparatus where their arms were connected inside the barrel. So you can't just go cut the chains off because they actually have their limbs tied together within the barrels side by side.
And aren't we hearing that there is a possibility that the barrels themselves could be secured to the concrete there, making it a really difficult task for law enforcement to remove those barrels?
Yeah, and it's been out there for over 2 hours now. So whatever they have set up there is really hard for anyone to get that off the freeway. And, you know, this is shutting down 880, the Nimitz freeway. This is a huge, huge commute for a lot of people, and not just
Oh
for
my
people
God.
going to work.
Just a
and
big
going to school, but
commute.
this
They're
freeway
holding
is
up a
also
lot
used
of
for a lot of
traffic.
big rigs, a lot of larger
A lot of
trucks
big
carrying
rigs.
goods.
Now
maybe
our
to the Port
groceries
of
are going to be
Oakland,
more
and because
expensive
of that,
for these
you're seeing
millennials.
a lot of cars out there stuck behind these big rigs. And now they're letting big rigs use 580 as an alternate because they can't move here. This is a live look near the Coliseum, and traffic is just a standstill. If you're trying to even make the commute from 238 to maybe squeeze through there to get to, say, maybe over towards the San Mateo Bridge out of Hayward, that's really backed up. It's over 2 hours to work.
Why
your
would
way
these
through
protests cause all
right,
these?
and taking a live look at the Golden Gate Bridge from Chopper 5, once again, you can see the backup there over the water. That bridge suspended over the water, and over the bridge, we have people who are arguably on their way to work. As we saw when this happened before in November at the Bay Bridge, people were on their way to doctor's appointments. This is a serious situation when traffic is at a standstill on multiple Bay Area bridges. You have to wonder, Gianna, if these protesters aren't aware and maybe in fact a little emboldened to know that when that happened back in November, according to reporting in the San Francisco Standard, 80 protesters who in that case called for a ceasefire in Gaza, they were charged, but of those, 78 accepted a little bit of a deal there, and it looks like they didn't really have to do much. In fact, some people say they only were ordered to do community service, 5 hours of community service.
Epic.
Did
Good.
that
That's
incentivize
great.
more protests like these that bring the Bay Area and transit on a Monday morning to a standstill? It's a big question.
Not
Yeah, and you're
incentivizing.
seeing a very coordinated effort in this happening on multiple major thoroughfares for people like the Golden Gate Bridge, like 880. Even Vern Glenn, our sports director here, is stuck in some of this backup. I think he just sent us some video. Can we show that right now? Show what Vern is actually on his way to work this morning, just like so many people in our community. And look at all of this traffic. This is southbound 101. Trying to get into San Francisco. And, you know, it's not easy to exit on and off the freeways once you get to a certain point past Sausalito, trying to get across the Golden Gate Bridge. So just trying to get these cars moving and maybe diverted in the opposite direction so they can get out of this traffic.
Because
is
like
not gonna
literally
be an easy
traffic is
task.
the
Well,
most
and you can
important
see the
thing that
truck
the
to the
local
left,
news reports on.
Yeah.
That's why
How
Shiny
great
Milk
is
is
it they
the
can
goat.
stretch this to 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Like, oh, protesters holding up bridge. You want to see how protests are covered by people who aren't local news? So protesting weapons manufacturers.
It produces vital parts for the F-35 fighter jet, which is currently being used in the bombing campaign against the innocent people of Gaza. And we're here to demand that they stop providing.
Yeah, this is also Al Jazeera.
Huh?
It's also Al Jazeera, so they're going to be
I know.
sympathetic to it.
Cringe.
There's 70 Australian companies who are involved with the Joint Strike Fighter, and every single Joint Strike Fighter in the world, including those that are dropping bombs from Israel and Palestine, have to go through these Australian companies, including HCA.
In our hundreds, in our millions, in our hundreds, in our millions, we do not welcome weapons manufacturing companies and companies involved in the supply chain of destroying Palestinian lives.
Oh,
We
he's
do
got his
not
hand on his
welcome
hip.
them
He's
on
mad.
our land.
Huh?
I said he's got his hand on his hip. You know he's mad.
As an active demonstration and solidarity with our Palestinian brothers and sisters. From the river to the sea.
Uh-oh, genocidal rhetoric.
From the river to the sea.
It was like a whole thing this week. This is why I brought it up, because the protests reminded me.
On a major transport route in Port Melbourne,
Stop resisting. Stop resisting.
pro-Palestinian protesters are arrested one by one, pulled off the road
Free, free Palestine!
and taken away by dozens of waiting police as traffic banked up.
I had to call my manager to say, well, I can't get to the office.
Really frustrated. Poor
I don't know what
baby.
they're bloody up to.
Across the city, pro-Palestinian activists ramped up their protests, blocking the freeway exit onto Hoddle Street. And staging riots in major city
I love
streets.
her.
2 people were also arrested after allegedly tampering with traffic lights
Ah,
at a busy
epic.
intersection in Carlton.
We would support the right of people to protest their views peacefully and respectfully, but not to
Please don't
disrupt the
touch our
lives of other
traffic lights.
Victorians.
Huh?
It's like, please don't touch our traffic lights.
Sorry that you've experienced 15 to 30 minutes of delay, but it is really nothing compared to the 35,000 lives that were lost in Gaza so far.
On the steps of Parliament, protesters called on the state
I usually don't like when they bring up the death count, but that was good. that was appropriate.
government to sever its ties to Israel-based weapons manufacturer Elbit Systems. As hundreds more rallied
now
outside
they changed
of other
it. Now they
businesses.
can't say it's anti-Semitic.
Interesting, right?
Because it's Palestine will live forever.
Including Boeing, Dandenong manufacturer A.W. Bell.
Dental dam manufacturer?
I'm surprised.
Dental dam manufacturer?
What?
Just sounded like she said dental dam manufacturer.
No, it was Dandenong. I'm surprised there wasn't a bigger turnout for that one, because that's where most of like the Middle Eastern community goes, is like Dandenong sort of area. They just sort of group around there. I think there's a lot of Sudanese, Ethiopian, North African there as well. So I'm surprised that
I'm late. What did I miss? Well, we just transitioned to we're transitioning to the new topic, but we talked about Israel
and Iran.
Rallies like this one outside of oil and gas giant BP have taken place across the city.
Good stand
as part
up.
of a global movement to cause
Reason
economic
for
disruption
being there.
and shut down transport and traffic. Organisers have pledged to continue if their demands are not met.
The cries of the people are not being heard, and
Turn
therefore
her
we are
gain up
hitting
and
them
just
where
yelling.
it hurts, which is in their pockets.
More than 24 cities across the world are also expected to take part. Leanne Wong, ABC News, Melbourne.
Wong.
So Israel Bahar serves as Israeli Consul General to the Pacific Southwest. He joins us now. Thank you for being with us, Israel.
Thank you for having me.
So,
good morning.
Tell us the lay of the land right now in terms of Israel, in terms of Iran. You feel like Iran was already sort of a pariah in that part of the world. That can only have become a worse problem at this point.
Correct. I think the fact that Iran is still, this regime is still exists and control Iran, I think it's a stand on Western democracies. It's an anti-Iran, tyrannical regime who destabilized the region from its first
seriously,
day.
how can
It
you
goes against America.
like this is so easy to do an anti-Iranian regime fucking take, and you make it into they don't like Israel. It's a stain on Western democracies, bro. What? Like, shut up! Oh my god.
Like, how's it a stain on Western democracies?
No, that's exactly like all these things that he's saying. Like, don't make fucking sense.
Yeah, and nobody fucking questions it. They just nod their head and go, Like, it's pathetic. You call yourselves journalists? I guess it is Fox News.
American interests against Western interests and against Israel. So we need to come together, the world, to make sure that we are isolating Iran by reinstating crippling sanction, to strengthening the Israel-American and moderate Arabs alliance. And third, it's about time that we are going to name the Revolutionary Guard of Iran as a terrorist organization. That's what we need to do, all of us together right now. And it's time about to stop the hypocrisy on the world stage, which is dealing with Iran on a democratic level or in any conversation with them. I think this regime must be toppled, and sooner is better.
Israel, when Hamas attacked, we as America, we supported Israel. And when Iran attacks, we are not.
Cringe.
Biden told your prime minister that the U.S. will not support an Israeli counterattack. What are your feelings?
These are the same people who are saying that it's going to be Biden's fault that it goes into a bigger conflict.
Yeah, people always say that. I just go, okay. No problem. Cool story. Also, yes, you missed nothing because nothing happens. Ever.
If Israel does bomb the shit out of Iran, though, that will be
something happening. and then we will do something.
Feelings about that?
First of all, we are grateful for the American support and to the American people, the American Army, and also to the administration that support us in a defending mechanism.
Yes, we'd like to thank the US for honoring
Helping us commit the
their
genocide?
agreement, honoring their agreement when we gave them money into their politics. That was very nice of them to reciprocate that gift for a gift. That was very nice. But other than that, no, America is doing everything that America wants to do. We have nothing to do with it. There's totally no billions of dollars of Israeli lobbying money, which is probably American money anyway, going to buy favors. That's never happened. No, that could never happen. No. But Fox News, that's exactly what doesn't happen.
Mechanism that we created in the region with them. About the attack, we, the Israeli, believe that if we need to attack, we need to do it by ourselves, and we never ask any other country to do it for us. But what we do need is the diplomatic international clout, and definitely America has the power to give us this kind of a clout.
Did this cunt just say clout, unironically, twice?
Personal matters in the international diplomatic world. It's about understanding the reality. It's about understanding where we're at on the world stage. And the world needs to understand and decide whether it wants to go with a Chamberlain approach or with the Churchillian decision what to do against Iran. So Israel is going to do what we need to do in the end of the day, and we're going to decide the time and the scope that we're going to retaliate against Iran. That needs to be seen. But we do appreciate the help that the American people support us on this endeavor.
Well, Israel has certainly proven over the years to be very effective at standing up to bullies in the region. So thank you very much, Mr. Bahar, for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you. You too.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade. They need to stop doing that.
So U.S. has been cautioning Israel about its retaliation. I'm wondering what's the most recent steer you're getting from Israel on what kind of further retaliation they're going to.
I'm just not going to speak to our private diplomatic conversations. When we have talked to Israel, we have made clear, as we demonstrated on Saturday, that we are committed to their defense. And of course, we are, continue to make clear to everyone that we talk to that we want to see de-escalation, that we don't want to see this conflict further escalated. We don't want to see a wider regional war. That's something that's been the goal of this administration since October 7th, and we have worked to achieve. But beyond that, I don't want to get into private
What would be, in U.S. view, what would be an acceptable or unacceptable retaliation?
I'm just not going to speak to
anything.
Hypotheticals.
Okay, let me go at this a little bit more. It's taken you months to convince Israel on a number of things, like aid to Gaza, how they're conducting their military operation in Gaza. What makes you think they're going to heed your warning?
So again, I'm not going to always accept the premise of the question, so don't take that in my response. Israel is a sovereign country. They have to make their own decisions about how best to defend themselves. What we always try to do is provide our best advice as a longtime friend of Israel and a longtime ally and partner of Israel. And that's what we've done since October 7th across a broad range of fronts. It's what we have done over the weekend. And so what we demonstrated over the weekend is that our commitment to Israel's defense is clear and it is ironclad. And we back that up not just with words.
What?
I lost my chinchillas Cheerios. I don't know what I did with them. I don't know where they went.
Be grip.
And with action, and we will continue to make that clear, while at the
probably
same
put them in
time
a bag I was
ensuring
using
that
for
everyone
garbage.
knows
Because
that
like
we're
I'll just
committed
like
to de-escalation in the
I'll just
region.
use
That's
my
the
like
policy we're
shopping bags, the paper ones, because they're like so firm. They're like little
Yeah.
mini garbage cans. They still have rice puffs, but like it's funnier to watch Zapata eat Cheerios because he fucking demolishes them. He really likes them.
trying to pursue.
Right. On the UN, Robert Wood said yesterday, in the coming days,
And then sometimes
and
like
consultations with other
BG will
members,
be
US
like
will explore
indecisive and he'll
additional
just hold the
measures
Cheerio in his little hand.
That's pretty funny.
to hold Iran accountable. Here at the United Nations, can you give like any clues on what that might conclude?
So we have been consulting with partners on this very question over the past several days. When I read out the secretary's call,
I don't know why
one of
we
the
bother
things that
watching the
we
State
have talked
Department
about in
when
those
they talk
calls
about
are
Israel.
So boring,
any-
isn't it?
It's just all bullshit.
Awful.
Like,
just the whole thing is just horse shit.
oh, this is the crazy one.
Hmm.
These people are expensive.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Wendy Griffith. Today, how will Israel respond after Iran launches a major attack with drones and missiles on the Jewish state? We'll look at how Israel may strike back, even as President Joe Biden says the U.S. will not help Israel retaliate.
All right, come on.
Crazy yet.
I mean, there's multiple things that they cover in the 20 minutes.
I know it's a whole like newscast they wrote just for this. But I mean, at least they can write and like put the basic like actual story points on paper. That's way better than Fox News can do.
Yeah, I just because they have these titles, so I'll skip the one.
And what's going to be from an Israeli broadcaster that Prime Minister
can't do that.
Weapons being used by the terror group here in the north since October 8th, the
You know,
day after the
Hezbollah
Hamas
training
massacre.
simulator video I have, right, where the guy
In
gets
addition to
literally
more than
domed
3
by a sniper in it, and it does the Metal Gear
Yeah.
Solid meme.
Yeah,
That guy was a RPGer he killed fucking Syrian civilians. He was like
Oh,
he
really?
was known for being in Syria. Yeah,
Fucking hell.
nothing of value was lost
Yeah.
when they domed him.
It's time to move in.
And by the way, you know what started that clash in Lebanon? Do you know what the political fallout was? I think
No.
I should probably do some stuff about Lebanon like I did on Iraq.
Mm.
So yeah, there was basically a judicial investigation into the Beirut blast, and Hezbollah didn't like that.
I wonder
Right?
why.
Why would you not want investigations into this blast? Huh?
Could it have
So
been
they were
their
saying that
property?
it's because the court is biased against them and it's going to
Mhm.
set them up and frame them, right? So these people it was Amal and Hezbollah, the two, like they're basically kind of the same thing.
Mhm.
You know, our friend was in both organizations at one point. And they basically go down a alleyway that's leading to the Christian side. And shit starts kicking off, right? So like not only are these people trying to stop justice from coming to the victims of the blast, because I guess they're like, I've presented plenty of evidence implicating them.
The guy who got shot.
Well,
a
he
part
was
of the one
he was
stopping them.
one of the Hezbollah guys who came for like reinforcements and backups and stuff. So it started as like a march, like a protest march that
Okay.
went past the Judicial House, and it went down, and then they turned on a street that was like off the main street, and that was a Christian place, and then like snipers came out on the roof, at potentially 2 to 3 snipers, at most, at minimum 1, but I think there's 3. But they start fucking just taking these guys out, right? It just
Should stop being cunts and actually like, not fuck with your neighbors. Maybe they might not want to fuck with you as much. It's kind of
mean-
funny how that works.
what are Hasbro's gonna do? Cry about it more?
Willing to sleep
Okay, fascist.
ability. The only way to fight
They referenced
this
the protocols
is
of
to
Elder
try
Zion.
to
I mean, I read that.
eliminate, or at
That's
least
a great
them-
book.
It's a great time to play that.
I mean, I really don't know which of these Nazis to support. They're
as
both
much as possible.
pretty good
these
options.
people. George Thomas still ahead. The battles.
420.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?